On June 3rd, the Crescent City Council passed Ordinance 807, which regulates long-term and overnight parking of oversized vehicles on public property. This ordinance was passed despite a letter the city received from the American Civil Liberties Union concerning the ordinance's legality. This was not the first letter the ACLU has sent the city about this and similar ordinances.
The weekend before their April 1st meeting, the City Council received a letter from the ACLU questioning the legality of Ordinances 804, 805, 806, and 807. The City Council decided to table the ordinances in that meeting. On June 3rd, the City Council voted unanimously in favor of Ordinance 807. This ordinance prohibits overnight sleeping or lodging in any motor vehicle or trailer on public property, limits parking of oversized vehicles such as RVs to 8 hours in any 24-hour period, and must be moved at least 1,000 feet after the 8 hours to be considered moved. Permits for extended stay are available to the residents of Crescent City. And lastly, if any offense is committed under this chapter, then the individual will be given $100 to $300 in fines. At the meeting, public comment was given by many individuals, including Michael Tompkins, a True North organizing leader. During the meeting, Councilman Vaman expressed his view that the City Council should continue to work with the ACLU on the ordinances. We were able to follow up with Vaman and discuss his views on Ordinance 807 and the ACLU's letter. When discussing the legality of the ordinance, Vaman had this to say.
I mean, our city attorney was pretty keen at saying it'll hold and that their concerns, at least those concerns, are unfounded.
Although Vaman stated that he was open to amendments.
So what I had said during the council meeting is that, and this is probably going to feed into the conversation about the ACLU, is that, I mean, they have been pretty consistent about insisting that there's more work to be done with these ordinances. Mm-hmm. I'm certainly open to whatever amendments people have. I don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I don't know what that is. But if somebody comes forward and says, here's a flaw in your ordinance, or this ordinance is going to affect us a certain way, then we need to be open as policymakers to hear that. Okay. People affected by the decision have to be involved in making the decision.
Vaman expressed the consequences of an injunction being filed against the city.
And that's not something that I think even some of my colleagues, but really a lot of people in the community get, is that an injunction means, you know, the hours that we've spent on this, whole council meetings, an hour of public comment that Monday night, all just goes out the window because the court has to decide. Yeah, it's not the hill that I would want to die on.
In regards to community concern of the homelessness issue within the city, Vaman stated,
cities, at least in the state of California, are not designed to provide social services. Mm-hmm. Cities are designed to do, number one, zoning and planning, regulating parcels. Yeah. Number two is infrastructure. And number three is public safety. And so if you have any variation of those, that determines how many, you know, if your city is a part service or full service city. City of Crescent City does zoning and planning, does infrastructure, and does fire and police. We do all three of those things, which are the fundamental prerogatives of cities as organizations. Yeah. Which makes us a full service city. We do a lot of things. Cities are not designed to provide social services. Mm-hmm.
We spoke with Mike Tompkins, a leader of True North, who voiced public concern at the meeting when Ordinance 807 passed, and discussed True North's and his own opinion on the ordinance and possible alternatives. What is True North's opinion of Ordinance 807?
As a leader, our opinion is that it's incomplete, it's inadequate, and it's probably the best they can do for now, and we regret that they weren't willing to work with the ACLU. It doesn't really address the root causes of people living in their RVs on the street. It doesn't address the people who own an RV but are renting and haven't got a place to park it. It doesn't address visiting family in a meaningful way. It creates unnecessary issues for those people, and it actually probably creates a bit of a hassle for law enforcement. in that this moving every so many hours, certain distance. Obviously, they're going to have a little bit of discretion in this, but they will be hampered by complaining neighbors, for instance, and trying to find ways to deal with the disturbance of the peace that this kind of that can happen when you have the ordinance in place and neighbors who are disgruntled with their neighbor perhaps, or who just want to complain, and they have an ordinance to use as legal means to cause trouble. If I was the sheriff or the police chief, I would probably not be very happy with the ordinance myself.
Any other alternatives that you support or have thought up of, or anything that you'd like to see rather than this, or in supplement?
Not being a lawyer,
Of course, yeah.
and having had very little discussion about this with other leaders in True North, I will speak from that position and say that probably there are no good solutions for this. And again, I will reiterate that I'm really disappointed that they did not make an effort to work with the ACLU, because the ACLU could bring in a wider perspective of other places in the U.S. that are also dealing with this, in California, that are also dealing with this, and they could have probably brought some expertise to the table that our local council does not have. So, to answer the question more directly, I doubt that there is a good alternative, or any better alternatives that we could offer with our limited expertise and knowledge. That said, what I would much rather see, as personally speaking for myself, what I would much rather see is more effort to address the root causes of these problems. Root causes as in the poverty level of the county, as in the lack of job opportunities in the county, as in the county, which includes the city, bringing in big box stores with the idea that that's going to raise the economy of Del Norte, when what we really need is more opportunity for small business locally. That would be my personal opinion.
In addition, Mike said this.
Everybody has a stake. Everybody's needs should be addressed. Everybody should be at the table. That's True North's position.
True North's local organizing committee on homelessness meets the first and third Thursday of every month at 5:15. Their offices are located at 285 L Street in Crescent City. For more information, call 626-898-3630, and the City Council meets in the Flint Center the first and third Monday of every month at 6 p.m. For KFUG Community News, this is Brayden Hatch.
And Walker True.